You've been told that compressors are all different, that they each have their own individual character, their own musicality. You've been told that some are magic, worth hundreds or even thousands, because this one has this flavor and this one has a completely different flavor. And that's a nice story, but it's also not true. Most people have been paying for the same compressor algorithm over and over again, just with a different interface design. Now, as many of you know, I made my own analyzer plugin to reveal exactly what compressors are doing behind the scenes, and it's laughable how many expensive paid plugins all just do the same basic stuff, to the point where you can just overlay two compressors in my analyzer plugin and see that they're applying more or less the exact same gain reduction. Now, many people pushed back and said, well, a single sine wave, that's not a good enough test signal because it's not harmonically complex enough to really allow the compressor to do its frequency dependent and program dependent stuff. Well, the setting that I recommend on Delta Expose is actually a raw aliasing square wave, which modulates at different levels, and you can sweep the entire frequency range and see if a compressor is reacting to frequency or not. So those things can actually be tested quite well in Delta Expose, and guess what? Many of these fancy expensive compressor plugins don't react in a frequency dependent way. Now, because of the visual design aesthetics of the interface, you think you're buying vintage warmth or mastering grade precision or whatever else, but you're just buying the same bog standard curves just with a different interface. Now, there are a few gems. Take, for example, Presswerk or Compassion. They're pretty solid and well-rounded, but look at the price. And TDR Molar is completely free, but that's kind of a one-trick pony with its linear type curve. But even then, none of these compressors are really doing anything truly unique or out of the box that we've not seen for decades before. But what's this then? Look at those curves. What's going on here? It looks completely different. It behaves completely differently, like nothing else that you've seen before. So not all compressors are the same, it seems. AP mastering has been debunked. Well, yes, that's right. I've been debunked. I've debunked myself, because this is my own compressor plugin that I made myself, because everything else on the market is boring. It's called Curvature. Curvature can do more or less everything that other compressor plugins can do, regardless of price, but then it enters a whole new level of sonic possibilities because I'm doing things that have never been done before. It can go from an interesting bus compressor to full-on sound design. So let's get Unisum up, for example. It's considered one of the best compressor plugins in the world. What can we do with this on a drum loop? So it just sounds like ordinary normal compression. It's not bad, it's good sounding compression, but it's just the same kind of compression flavor that we've heard a million times before. Now, what can Curvature do to the exact same drum loop? It can go from really transparent mastering type bus compression to completely unhinged stuff that you just don't expect to come out of a compressor plugin. Transparent, aggressive, pumping, creative, distortion, whatever you want, it can do it. So it already contains algorithms that you just won't find elsewhere, including, as far as I'm aware, the world's first implementation of the Black-Scholes-Merton option pricing formula in an audio compressor. Anyone who knows what that is knows how radical that is. And I think I'll give more of an explanation in other videos, but in the meantime, I've published a paper on my website detailing what's happening inside that algorithm. But anyway, this is just the beginning. I've deliberately left space for 7 more algorithms, and every single one will be a free upgrade for anyone who buys Curvature. And if there's a style that it can't already do, for example, upwards compression, gating effects and stuff like that, that's exactly what I'll be adding in the next updates. So I'll keep adding unique new algorithms as free updates minutes until it's full with the most insane algorithms you've never heard anywhere else. So for the launch, I'm giving a 10% discount if you use the code BLACKSHOALS at the checkout. Now, obviously, it's available from my website, apmastering.com, but the page that you go to grab the plugin also functions as a full user manual. So it's really long and detailed and goes through everything inside of the compressor, and it's even got some hidden features and some really cool stuff that you might not figure out just by clicking buttons, by scrolling down and reading that page if you're stuck with the plugin. But the thing is, the way that I made it, I wanted to make it as user-friendly as possible, because I previously made an open source compressor plugin, which is called Versatile Compressor, because the idea was for that to do a bit of everything, and it did a good job considering it was just a single algorithm, but it was notoriously difficult to use because of the really wide parameter ranges and the lack of any orientation of where to get started. So that's why with Curvature, I went about it in a completely different way, and I designed it from the ground up to be extremely powerful, but also extremely easy to use. So on the front page, you just click on an algorithm and just click one of these buttons to load a starting point. And from there, you can just tweak the attack and release times also just by clicking stuff. It's super easy to use, and you can just adjust the levels and the amount of compression by just using the big knobs on the right-hand side. It's ridiculously fast and easy to use. And there's nothing complicated about it at all. That is, unless you want to click on the expert page, and then you get full access to the internal parameters of the algorithms, and you can tweak everything. And what the knobs do on every algorithm are all detailed on my website. There's also a sidechain page where you can really quickly shape the sound of the sidechain path just by clicking on the EQs. No twisting a bunch of knobs, just boom, and then you've got a different sound there. And unlike other compressor plugins, I've not really seen this anywhere else, you can hit the main button and that same EQ setting will be applied to the main output. So this is really handy. You can shape sounds really quickly in a mix without even pulling up an EQ if you're doing a broad stroke EQ setting. You can also adjust the gain of the sidechain path. It's really flexible and powerful, but the main thing is it's easy to use and fast. That's what I wanted. I wanted fast workflow. Bring the compressor plugin up and boom, you've got a sound immediately, and you can just tweak stuff immediately just by boom, 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 clicking on stuff. That's the layout that I wanted to go for. Minimum amount of knobs and maximum amount of just stuff laid out. Click on it, boom, fast. Now, in terms of the way that Curvature looks, I'm not a graphic designer, but I did my best to make 8 themes, which I think look cool. That said, I've left 4 slots available for user customizable themes. So if you are a graphic designer, you can make your own theme and use up to 4 different themes in the plugin. But if you are a graphic designer, you can also make the best theme you can make and send it to me, and I'll post it on my website, and you can have that as kind of like an advert for plugin design, and I'll put your logo and credit you on the website. So anyone who wants to make a decent skin, I can just whack that on my website with the credit so people can see your amazing artwork and other people can use your amazing artwork for free. But the reason why I put a whole bunch of themes in there is not just for aesthetics, it's also for function. For people who like to mix with a whole bunch of plugins open on their screen, well, let's say you've got one on your kick drum, one on your snare drum, one on your overheads, one on your bass. Well, you can have them different themes per instance, because there's a setting where you can toggle global or instance-based themes. So you can identify really quickly, visually, what is what based on the theme and the color of the compressor plugin instance. So if you want to know more about the features, check out my website, apmastering.com. There is no trial version for this plugin. If you want something for free, I already made my versatile compressor plugin and I gave it away for free and even made the code open source. Curvature is premium because it's the bee's knees and I work my butt off coding it. And so I wouldn't hold your breath either on any 90% off flash discounts, because I don't do clown pricing like some of the plugin companies out there. It's just 49 euros and it will stay that price and potentially get more expensive the more algorithms that I add. So if you want it, I would take advantage of that 10% early bird discount that I'm offering, expiring in a few days. I genuinely think that you're going to love this plugin. I think it's great value for money considering the competition. So apmastering.com, free mixing tutorials using Curvature coming soon.